Rachael Rollins made history 2 years ago when she was sworn in as the first black woman elected DA in Suffolk County. And now she's on track to do it again as Joe Biden's nominee for U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts. If and when she's confirmed by the Senate, she'll be the first ever black woman in this role, too. The White House announced her nomination along with more than half a dozen others. In a statement today, writing, "These individuals were chosen for their devotion to enforcing the law, their professionalism, their experience and credentials in this field, their dedication to pursuing equal justice for all, and their commitment to the independence of the Department of Justice." In 2018, Rollins ran for DA on a platform of change, including a controversial do-not-prosecute list of certain low-level crimes, and was elected with 80% of the vote. As U.S. Attorney, she'd be able to bring some of those priorities statewide. Then, of course, there's the matter of the seat she leaves behind. It would be up to Governor Charlie Baker to appoint an interim replacement until the DA position open up in the 2022 elections. And joining me to discuss are Berkshire County DA Andrea Harrington and Rahsaan Hall, the director of the Racial Justice Program at the ACLU of Massachusetts, who also manages the group's What a Difference a DA Makes campaign. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Rahsaan, I want to start with you because you taught me so much about what a difference a DA makes in the times that we've talked about this over. What's your reaction to the news of this nomination?
Well, I go back to January of 2018 when I was on your show actually wearing this tie talking about what a difference a DA makes. And so my reaction to this news is that I'm not surprised. I suspected it. I'm very happy for Rachael, a dear friend that I've known since law school. But there is this hole in my heart for the voters of Suffolk County, the residents of Suffolk County, who elected her by an overwhelming majority and also held her to account on the policy platforms that she ran on. So we're very interested in looking at who Governor Baker is going to look to appoint in that position until the next election, but also looking forward to what Rachael will do in this position if confirmed by the Senate.
DA Harrington, I want to ask you a sort of simple question, but what does a U.S. attorney do? What is the difference between being a district attorney and being the U.S. attorney for Massachusetts?
Well, the U.S. attorney is responsible for enforcing federal laws. So as the district attorney, I enforce the state laws. But U.S. attorney has a bigger platform for the entire district of Massachusetts, and also has a seat at the table at the highest levels of government to advocate for an approach to law enforcement. They have a whole civil side, civil rights. They enforce civil rights. Our U.S. Attorney's Office here in Springfield did a investigation of the Springfield Police Department. So it's an incredibly important role, and I think Rachael Rollins is a wonderful selection for U.S. Attorney.
Rahsaan, how does that approach of the way that, as District Attorney, DA Rollins was approaching which crimes and what level crimes should be prosecuted, how do you think that's going to translate if she's nominated in the fall? She has to appear before the U.S. Senate. How will that point of view and those values translate into the position of U.S. Attorney?
Well, I think one of the things that's really important to keep in mind is within the jurisdiction of the U.S. Attorney's Office, there are a whole set of crimes that some folks in communities, particularly communities of color, have complained about the level of over-prosecution and the lack of investigation and prosecution and accountability into law enforcement agencies, corrections agencies, corporations that are engaged in wage theft or not taking care of their employees. And so these are some of the areas that the U.S. Attorney's Office has jurisdiction over. And so the same perspective of valuing the life, the experience, the voices of the people who are most directly impacted and marginalized by these systems of oppression is the experience and perspective that we look forward to now DA Rollins, soon to be, hopefully, U.S. Attorney Rollins, that she brings to the office.
DA Harrington, I've been watching a lot on TikTok, these videos of these, people running into stores and stealing stuff and running out and people throwing up their hands saying, oh my gosh, it's the end of times. People are stealing clothes from stores. And obviously it's not a good thing for the stores, not a good thing for the employees that go through. But at the same time, as I was watching it with my daughter, I said, you know, that's probably a couple of $1,000s worth of merchandise. But meanwhile, on Wall Street and in other places, there are millions of dollars being robbed from citizens. And that doesn't ever get the coverage as somebody running in and stealing, you know, clothing. And I'm wondering if, as we look at the changes of district attorneys throughout the country and the way we're approaching law enforcement, do you feel we're at a moment where we are evolving at a tipping point where we're now starting to see the importance of crimes that hurt a lot of people seriously versus some crimes that are just symptomatic of the crisis or the economic crisis or opportunity that the individuals are in?
Well, there's a lot of concern, as Rahsaan stated, around the loss to the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office from, you know, Rachael being elevated to U.S. Attorney. But your point is well taken in that Rachael's part of a movement. My election is part of a movement. What a difference the DA makes is part of a movement. So we're seeing district attorneys with Rachael's similar platform, my platform, elected all over the country because of exactly what you're saying. People want law enforcement and a government and the court system to work for them, not just for the powerful. And I see those videos of people running out of the stores with the luxury goods. And to me, you know, I think, you know, and here in my own community with the Walmart, they bring in their shoplifting complaints every week. This is a multi-billion-dollar company. They can handle their own loss prevention. It's built into the cost of their goods. It should not be on police and local law enforcement to protect their property. So, you know, and your point is well taken. So somebody like Rachael Rollins in the role of U.S. Attorney's Office is going to look through a lens of equity, and they're going to put the focus where it should be, which is on the kinds of crimes that really hurt a lot of people, that are really based on greed and not, you know, just poverty and a lack of opportunity.
Rahsaan, DA Rollins has had a very tough go of it in terms of the fact that she's a woman, and she's a woman of color, she's a black woman, and she's coming with a set of ideals that's changing the system and turning the system right side, if you will. And I know that there's been criticism about an incident at South Bay. I've often said she wasn't the first law enforcement type to put the blues on in South Bay on a Christmas season when it's really parking is a nightmare. But she's withstood that criticism and that, in some terms, harassment. Is she going to be able to brace through what we expect will be an onslaught of more racist and sexist spotlight on her?
You know, the resilience and fortitude of Black women is something that in my life and experience is unparalleled. And unfortunately, it's a consistent reality. It shouldn't be. And she shouldn't have to continue to endure these things. But we've seen from what she's been able to do in the role of district attorney that she can withstand it. I think the greatest benefit, though, is the symbolism of her in that position and how she uses that platform to really shift the role of the system to one that's focused on transformation and healing, and not so much on convictions and incarceration.
DA Harrington, I'm just wondering what your reaction is also to the historic nature of this. I mean, I grew up and there weren't any, I don't think, female district attorneys when I was a kid. There still aren't that much representation in law enforcement. And certainly for people of color and Black women, it's the same. Yet at the same time, we're seeing this emergence of people stepping forward and being able to both get appointments and to win elections. What's your experience been like?
Well, it's very difficult for me to be a woman in this particular position, and particularly with the media. And we see that against Black women, women district attorneys, women in law enforcement all across the country. And I really believe that the media need to take more responsibility for how they report on women leaders, because they really set a tone where other people in the community who don't have the same level of scruples, feel that they can attack women elected leaders. And you see this particularly with the Black women DAs from across the country. And that for a woman like Rachael to get to her position, you have to be exceptional in every way. And Rachael certainly is exceptional, and that's why she is where she's at.
So, Rahsaan, assuming she gets confirmed in the Senate in September, that seat's going to be filled by Baker and then up for election. What are you hoping happens? Are people being persuaded, perhaps, to run? What's going on, and what's the inside baseball on the politics of it all?
If I knew the inside baseball, I probably wouldn't tell, but I don't know the inside baseball. But all I know is that the ACLU is adamant that Governor Baker must appoint a successor who will continue the work towards, again, a legal system that's focused on transformation and healing and community-centered services and resources to address disruption and harm, as opposed to the tough-on-crime model that we've seen for so many generations.
Can we expect a more robust what a difference a DA makes? I know during the election cycle, I was happily pleased to see the outreach to folks who are incarcerated, as well as town meetings in neighborhoods which usually don't have them. Do you have a full plan? Hopefully if we can get out from underneath this COVID?
Oh, absolutely. We've already started the What a Difference a DA Makes campaign. The ACLU is partnering with organizations in 8 counties on the ground so that we're getting community-informed platforms and advocacy issues that we're going to be taking to DAs and to the public, and continue to educate the public on the role, power, and influence of DAs to change the narrative about the role, address racism in the system, and reduce incarceration.
Just quickly, DA Harrington, do you think she's going to have any trouble being confirmed by the Senate?
I'm really looking forward to watching Rachael at the confirmation hearings. She's an amazing communicator. She has a tremendous vision. She's a transformative figure in criminal justice. So I don't see her having any problems, but I'm a little bit biased.
DA Andrea Harrington, Rahsaan Hall, great to see you. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.